The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online, a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet, with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my site, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with me or not. And I would type that out for you if I knew how to type. .com. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we are syndicated to 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, we've all been watching the Olympics. It's been a fantastic experience so far. Some world records have been broken. There's been some controversy both before and during the Olympics, and there'll be an aftermath that deserves a close attention by all of us around the world. The Olympics viewed as a major opportunity for the Chinese government to improve its image, but as it does, the government there must strike a delicate balance between openness on the one hand and censorship on the other. Despite a promise of free and unfettered access by the media, restrictions were put into place, including access to certain internet sites. Then, under pressure, many but not all of those restrictions were lifted, and more importantly than how the media are being treated, what about the Chinese people once the world's eye is diverted following the closing ceremonies? Will the few new areas of openness remain untouched, or will the Chinese government then slam the door and put in even greater restrictions on its own people? Well, joining us live from Beijing to discuss this matter right now is Jasper Becker. He is author of a number of books, Dragon Rising, An Inside Look of China Today, a new book called City of Heavenly Tranquility, Beijing in the History of China. A journalist, Becker contributes to The Independent, Vanity Fair, National Geographic, the Christian Science Monitor, the Washington Post, former bureau chief for the South China Morning Post, and currently publisher of Asia Weekly. Very well positioned to tell us what's going on behind the Great Wall of China. Jasper Becker, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Yes, hello there.
Hello. Now, I know you're far from us, and so we're going to ask you to kind of speak up a little bit because the connection is not the best that we usually have. Tell me how it is that a foreigner such as yourself has been so successful in objective reporting, the good, the bad, the ugly that's going on in China without too much interference from the government there.
Well, normally in China, the government leaves foreign journalists alone. The pressure is actually on the Chinese people that you interact with. And so usually it's the people you interview who get into trouble with the authorities, who get arrested or thrown in jail. And so they don't normally directly go after the foreigners themselves.
And in fact, we actually saw an example of that just the other day when there was a very small demonstration, foreigners involved, and the Chinese have been grabbing them as they demonstrate and deporting them. And I guess a journalist wasn't wearing his credentials, and he got nabbed by the cops and maybe rough-handled a little bit because they thought he was a demonstrator. And then when they found his credentials, I understand that they immediately let him go.
Yeah, that quite often happens. There was a Japanese journalist who was attacked and roughed up in reporting events in Xinjiang, and there were Hong Kong journalists who were filming scuffles as people were queuing for Olympic tickets, and they were attacked. So that kind of thing happens quite a lot. I mean, usually what happens when you go around China reporting on things, the local authorities get upset and they detain you. They try and take away your film, and but usually after 4 or 5 hours, you're released, and either they make you write out an apology because you were doing something without permission, or during the Olympics they've been softer, and the apologies are from the authorities. But in most cases, the people you go and interview are the ones who get into trouble.
And sometimes I guess they get thrown into jail if they talk too much to the Western press, and that's quite unfortunate. So in one respect, the Olympics are offering an opportunity to open the door a little bit, shed some light on what's going on in China, an exchange of not only sportsmanship but cultural ideas. But on the other hand, one wonders, as I suggested in my lead-in, Jasper Becker, what will happen after the closing ceremonies? Do you have any way of telling us? Is there any precursor that would indicate how the Chinese government will now react once all the Western journalists leave?
Well, I don't really entirely agree with this, because I think the importance of the Olympics would be if there was some change in the way Chinese journalists are treated, if they led to press freedom in China. I think the treatment of foreign journalists, or the opening of websites temporarily, is quite meaningless. I mean, what's important is not how the foreign media are treated, but the status of Chinese media. Are the Olympics going to lead to more press freedom in China? Because that's the kind of thing that will actually change Chinese society, make it more democratic, and push forward some kind of political liberalization. And what you see actually happening in the run-up to the Olympics is that they actually tighten things up. They were